Hi, I'm Tinny from minibulldesign, and it's about 9:35 right now in the morning, and I'm out here in the factory, and I'm goofing around with one of the maybe stoves that I pulled out of stock. I pulled one out and just thought I would play with it, see what I could learn. And I've got a rather interesting story to tell you. First off, let's look at the stove. I did a little clip here so you can see. I don't know whether on this clip whether you can hear that remote every time it bloop bloops, but it's doing it fairly frequently. It's burning a fair amount of alcohol, and you can see the flame is pretty intense. And let me show you the boil. I forgot to do that in the clip. But yeah, we got for a 12-centimeter pot, we got a good hard rolling boil. You probably wouldn't want to run the stove that wide open friendly at the time. You'd just be wasting alcohol. But anyway, let me tell you my story. Okay, now a lot of stove manufacturers probably wouldn't tell you this, or a lot of manufacturers in general, but I'm going to explain this all out to you because it's an interesting story. Okay, when I started out with the first maybe stove, when I did the very first design, which was a takeoff from the Never Never stove, I had a lot of problems. Things just didn't run well. It pulsed badly, just didn't run well, and I kept changing little things, and after a while, geez, boy, it ran fantastic. I had a really nice stove there, and I ran it for a long time, and it just real pleasant stove to run. Very happy with it. So I turned around and banged 20 of them out and used the exact same dimensions as the one that I was really happy with. And those, I put the carbon felt wick in them, screwed the handles in them, I made the pot stand legs, and they went out the door. People bought them. Bang, bang, bang. Now, my thought there is, if I build exactly the same stove, it's going to work exactly the same. And in the end, I'm right. But the end game isn't where all the interest is. The interest is in how you get to the end game. Okay, after all that, and after selling a billion of them, today I pulled one out of stock, knowing full well that it's going to run just like the other one because it's the same stove. I can't test every single stove. Anyway, I set it up. Hang with me on this. I set it up, fired it up, and I don't think I've ever seen a stove run any worse. It was pulsing bad. It was pulsing like 3 inches in a line, and it was burning yellow and blue and green, and you couldn't get the flame adjusted right. It was just terrible. I thought, wow, I may have just shot myself in the foot. I'm probably going to have to buy all of these back. Well, first thing I did was I went to the larger fuel line, and that didn't help. Second thing I did was I took and I recommend doing, if you get a maybe stove, I think I'd recommend doing this. When you get it, pull the top off, take the wick right out. Now when I installed the wicks on this first wave, I installed them too tight. So take the wick right out, and when you get it out, let me cut a piece here to show you what I'm talking about. Simulated wick. When you pull it out, grab right a hold of it and stretch it a little bit. Not a lot, but some. See how that stretches right down? And then put it back in. And when you get around to the end, don't cram it in. Just put it in with, you can put it in with a little friction, but don't cram it right in. When you get to the end, it's too long. I'd cut 3/4 inch off of mine. And that gives more room for the alcohol to come up. And that helped a lot. but it wasn't by any means, it still wasn't running where I was happy with it. So I goofed around with it, and after a while, it just started burning okay. And I ran it for an hour with an SS adjustable remote on it, with the remote set at 1 3/8 to the top of the nipple. And boy, it ran great. Fantastic, adjusted, nice blue flame, running hot, no pulse, ran perfect. Well, come to find out after goofing around with a few of these is when you first start these up, that you have to understand that all that aluminum in there has been soaked with cutting oil. So right in the pores of the aluminum is cutting oil. Now I don't know whether it's the cutting oil burning off that causes it to pulse and run really bad. I think it's just the actual aluminum seasoning, like a frying pan. And as it seasons over maybe an hour's time, it quits gassing off and the stove runs very well. I'm real happy with it. But that first hour is pretty shaky. So when you get one, and I don't know that they're all going to do this or not, take that wick out, stretch it out, and put it back in. Make sure it's not crammed in tight. It can have some friction when you put it in, but don't put it in really tight like I did. And if there's any extra on the end, just clip it off and tuck the end down in. And second off, get it going, get it burning on high, put a remote on it, and just run it for an hour. And just let it burn off. And I think you'll find over time, over the hour's time running on high, that it'll sweeten right up and run pretty nice. And like I said, I'm running my remote at 1 3/8, and that's probably a good starting point. I'm sure that varies a little bit from remote to remote, because some of these remotes are a little different than others. So that's basically what I have for today. Now, if you own any of my stoves, it's not a bad idea to watch this video every day, because there may be updates like this in there that may help you. But you know, if you don't have time for that, that's okay too. But anyway, that's where we are, and I'm really glad to say that I was correct, that if you build them exactly the same, they'll be okay. You just have to season them a little bit. And that's another thing. I got a couple of emails from different people that had Never Never stoves. And they said the first time they started up, it pulsed really bad. And they thought it was because it was air in the fuel line and all that. And I emailed them and gave them some of my input. And the next time they emailed me back, said, oh yeah, I've run it a little while, I got it straight now, it's working great now. That's probably why. It was probably the aluminum seasoning itself. Now I'm looking back at problems I've had in the past with many prototype designs, and I'm thinking, that may have been the problem with them too. I may have actually junked some good designs that simply needed to be seasoned out. Life is a learning experience. It's 59 degrees today and sunny, but it's early in the morning yet. I think as the day goes on it's going to warm up. But unfortunately, the road grader just graded our road, so I can't ride my trike on it because the little tiny road tires on it won't tolerate all the loose gravel. Hey, life goes on. So, I'm Tinny from minibulldesign. Get out and hike, take a friend. Enjoy the great outdoors, and more important than anything, try to have some fun today and try to have a really great day. Bye-bye.